All right, so today we're at Golf Galaxy in Brentwood talking with PGA professional Scott Pierce, who's been here a long time teaching out of this bay here in the back of Golf Galaxy. Scott, tell us a little bit more about how you got here to Brentwood, where you've done some teaching at the local Nashville area.
Sure, yeah. Thanks, Nick. I appreciate you having me on.
Yep,
First off, I was born and raised in Nashville, like we were talking about earlier. So I've lived here my whole life. Family moved to the Franklin area, which is 20 miles south of Nashville, in '84. So I still live in Franklin now. Went to Middle Tennessee State University, graduated from there in '89. As soon as I graduated, I got right into the golf business and working at various public, private clubs, kind of getting my apprenticeship, getting my experience with that. And with that experience, I've just learned that my passion was more in teaching, the swing and coaching. So I started focusing on that full time. So in '95 was when I started full time teaching and coaching. So I feel like as a PGA member, I mean, it's really important for us to grow the game.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a very difficult game. So I feel like it's for me, it's very gratifying when you're helping people with their game and their scores are getting better. So I feel like there's no better way to teach and grow, promote the game, than teaching and coaching.
Yeah. Now, when you were in school, you said you get right to the golf business right away. When you were in school, what were you learning? What was your kind of program? Were you in the kind of got your schooling that allowed you to go ahead into the coaching and teaching field?
Yeah, that's a good question because I majored in marketing.
Okay.
So I can tell you the definition of marketing word for word, but I never used it.
Okay, very good.
So, like I said, my dad was a golf pro when he was younger, so I guess it's in my blood. I was planning on getting a sales job,
Sure.
And I knew someone at a course in the Nashville area. And they were like, hey, why don't you get in the golf business? So I just started at a public course in 1989 and went through my apprenticeship there. And I got my, Class A membership in 1994. So really wasn't planning on getting into the golf business. It just kind of happened that way.
Fair enough. When you were younger, said you didn't plan on getting to the golf business, but when you were playing golf as a kid, what were your kind of experiences there? Did you ever compete? Did you play for high school? Did you do anything like that, or is it just
no? Watching my dad win club championships everywhere that we lived. He handed me like an old Titleist driver, persimmon head with an X100 dynamic gold shaft in it. And I would just tee the ball up and top it and just go walking 50 yards and get it and top it again. And just really wasn't very good at golf.
I see. Yeah.
But started getting more serious about it probably my senior year of high school.
Yeah.
And played a little bit. I played my senior year of high school. Still wasn't very good.
Sure.
But my dad worked with me, taught me, and I guess it just kind of, like I said, it's just in the blood.
Yeah.
Just kind of got a little bit better, a little bit better, a little bit better. And, like I said, like I was able to get my Class A membership in '94.
Sure.
So.
Yeah, cool. I wish I would have played golf in high school. The golf practice sounds so amazing. That's
Fun.
your thing. Growing up playing just about everything. Waking up at 4 to go to hockey practice before school or things like that. It sounds a lot more fun to go to golf practice. Not to say
it is.
It's probably I'm sure it gets old and it's hard work, but
you get to miss class too.
For
get
tournaments.
to get out early and stuff. So,
that's awesome.
So that's good. But that all landed me here to Golf Galaxy.
Yeah.
Wasn't really sure how much I would like being indoors
Mhm.
teaching full time. After 4 years here, I really like it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a great learning environment back here with my private teaching bay with Trackman and video
Mhm.
hookup. So it's really a great learning environment here. And here at Golf Galaxy too, you have everything at your disposal. I mean,
Right.
this is a one-stop shop. I mean, you can do lessons here. You can do fittings here, sim rentals, club repair. I mean, everything you need is right here, in the store. So it's been a good experience so far.
Yeah, no doubt. And I got a little taste of it earlier today. And from what I experienced today with what we were working on, a little bit of a slice, what have you seen from when you started coaching, you started your professional coaching career? How would you say your coaching styles have changed from when you started compared to what I got to experience today a little bit? Things that you're focusing on, or the way that you go about teaching, the way you maybe simplify things or different ideas. How would you say that's kind of changed over the years?
Well, obviously, the more you teach, the more you're going to learn.
Yeah.
But what I have discovered is, in order to be an effective teacher, like a good teacher that you can help people, you have to be a good listener. You have to be a good communicator. You have to be able to, detect where in the swing you need to make changes, not just guessing.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You have to have an eye for the swing. You have to be able to see the positioning of the club head, the shaft, everything. You have to be able to see that, in the swing with your eye, even without the video.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously having a video is very helpful too.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So as far as my teaching style, I mean, I have learned a lot in 30 years.
Yep.
I mean, teaching obviously, but I really have been teaching the same angles and motion for a long time.
Yeah.
So I'm more of a, like we talked about earlier, more, rotating level to your spine, not tilting a lot, not moving the face a lot, stuff like that. I mean, I've been teaching that for a long time. So I guess just understanding ball flight laws, like we talked about earlier. Why is the ball starting to the right and curving to the right versus starting to the right and curving back to the left?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, helping people understand like their swings, and when they're on the range practicing over the weekend, make sure they're working on the correct things instead of just going out and practicing. I mean, understanding more of the ball flight where they can go out and fix it, on their own.
Yeah.
And that's important.
Yeah, you impressed me today when I took a swing and you predicted how far the ball was going to land just off the sound and the look of the swing. So being able to combine that experience, right, 30 plus years of coaching with the Trackman and all the data seems to be a money kind of combination.
Yeah.
In terms of figuring out lowest hanging fruit, what's the big thing that's going to make the most change? And when it comes to me, we found pretty quickly it was that tilt, right? And there's maybe some different theories on that tilt, but when we kind of leveled that out, again, the slice issue became kind of on the back burner.
When you see results.
That's right.
I mean,
It
right.
was pretty quick.
When you saw the results, you kind of looked up, you're like, oh wow, that ball kind of started to the right and moved back to the left. I haven't hit that before, or very often, right?
That's right. It's very rare.
Then you hit another one. Then you hit another one. Then you picked up the driver. You hit a little draw with the driver.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, like changing your shoulder tilt, how you were rotating and how you were loading, into your back and into the right side on the backswing was what was influencing all of that on the downswing. That's why you were a little bit out to in, a little more open, maybe not distributing your weight correctly, was all because of that tilt with your upper body on the backswing.
Yeah, happy to have figured that one out.
Yeah.
Now, when it comes to when you started coaching to now, you say you fix slices all day long.
Yeah.
When you first started coaching, was it the slice as well? Is that the big thing most people are
No, a guy named Tim West, who was the Ram Tour rep, was duck hook and everything.
Okay.
So
I see.
But this was a long time ago. He was more of an experienced player.
Yeah.
But I would have to say that most people that I work with, they're going to hit it to the right.
Yeah. Now, is that because of similar issues that I was experiencing?
It could be the grip.
Yeah.
It could be the hands on the club are not positioned in a way that will control the face where you can close the face.
Mm-hmm.
It could be watching YouTube videos, thinking that you're supposed to pull the handle through with your left arm, stuff like that.
Sure.
And the wrist hinging too narrow, like in the swing, with your wrist, that can all cause your club to be open.
Mm-hmm.
There's several factors you have to look at when the club is open and the ball is going to the right. It's important to focus on the club face more than the club path. Mm-hmm. And that's what I do is I focus on the club face.
Yeah, awesome.
And then I figure out with that person, okay, why is that club face open at impact? Mm-hmm. And we go from there.
Gotcha. Yeah, so squirting off to the right tends to be the big thing for most people. Yep. In terms of physical limitations or injury pain, you're seeing a lot of people in here. Is there anything that you're seeing the most from your perspective in terms of pain, injury, or just kind of chronic issues that keep popping up with students of yours where maybe you're able to work through it a little bit, but it always tends to be where you have the highest likelihood of it being a certain spot?
Yeah, it's going to be the lower back. Mm-hmm. It's going to be shoulder blades. Mm-hmm. It's going to be shoulders in general, front and back. Going to be the knees, mostly toward the inside, both knees, kind of the medial meniscus area, both of them, left and right. A lot of wrist issues. Mm-hmm. Thumb, if you're right-handed, a lot of people have a lot of pain in their left thumb.
I see.
So glad there's guys like you that do what you do because that's a lot right there. So there's a lot of places that just the natural like jarring of the swing, like especially if you're hitting the ground, there's a lot of vibration that goes up that shaft through your arms, elbows, shoulders. So there's a lot, all the joints pretty much. But as you learned today, I mean, if you can, swing the club on the correct angles, not only where you have more leverage, you'll have more speed, you'll be able to make more of an athletic move.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's important.
Yeah, no doubt. When it comes to your own history of pain, injury, issues, mobility, is there anything in your history that keep popping up? Are you a low back guy?
Well, I need to see you tomorrow.
Okay, gotcha.
Early morning, right away. But I've had some surgery on my right medial meniscus on my right knee. Yeah. I've had some left thumb. I broke my thumb, and I've got some issues here. I think for me, and obviously shoulders. My shoulders are torn all to pieces. Sure. So, my long arm bicep tendon on my left shoulder has ruptured. So that just a lot of just getting older. So I think having someone like you that can maybe help with that mobility, help how to focus in on certain stretches or whatever, to help with that. Yeah. But I think a lot of it is just paying attention to that and just, working toward trying to get more, flexible, try to stabilize that spine a little bit better with the core, like working the core a little bit more. Just, golf is a lot more physical than what people think it is.
Yes, it is.
It will take a toll on your body in a lot of different places.
No doubt.
So
now, is that right knee? Is that golf related?
The doctor said that it was golf related, just from the torque in that area.
Yeah, I was curious. Yeah.
And he said it's like bending a coat hanger back and forth over and over and over and over and over. It's going to eventually break.
Sure.
So I felt it when it happened, so I knew that it wasn't going to be good. Yeah. But went in and had it scoped, and he cleaned it up. I haven't really had a whole lot of issues with it since then, but it's a lot of areas in the, when you're swinging the club, your body's going through a lot of torque, a lot of pressure. So it's
that coat hanger. If you're putting a lot of force into a structure through the body, it'll adapt no matter what. The question is, will it adapt in a good way or a bad way?
Yeah.
And so also if the load is just too great, right, for the challenge is too high, then yeah, for sure, then we just get injury, we get inflammation, doesn't have time to kind of heal and get better and stronger, and it just gets worse and worse and worse. So we can load into different structures and knees and we do it appropriately, things actually get stronger. But if we're doing it in ways that is putting too much stress on a certain structure like that medial meniscus, yeah, over time you start to get that injury. In golfers with that backside knee, if we're missing things like hip mobility through here, we're kind of asking a lot more from this knee. Now the knee can rotate. Surprisingly enough, people think it's just a hinge joint, but it moves in all planes. It's just not a lot. And so if we're trying to get a ton of rotation from that knee, because we're trying to avoid the hip, either maybe we have hip pain, we don't know how to use the hip very well, or we're missing a little bit of mobility in that hip, we want to get more from that knee, right? And so instead of getting a little bit and getting a strong knee that can kind of adapt, it's just too much, things like meniscus. So knees are common in golfers too. And a lot of times it's actually the front side knee, when we're putting a ton of force, we're translating it into that frontal plane sideways.
I have that too.
Okay, gotcha.
It's just not as bad as my other one.
Gotcha,
So
fair enough.
I have both of them.
But that checks out. And so there's ways of increasing our strength around that joint to help that, but also to take some pressure off that joint by working above and below, and then sending them to people like you to make sure that they're not doing things that are in their technical technique, right, in the mechanics of the swing, that are increasing that load as well.
Yeah.
So making them able to be strong, to move around that joint, move into that joint as well, and then having a swing that isn't just terrorizing that front knee, right? Yeah. And then you can make some changes in the meantime, but we want to always make sure we come back to the most efficient and powerful and productive swing that person is capable of. But,
and I've heard you talk before about like drills. Like a lot of my students, I may ask them to go to the range and do a certain drill or exercise, and like you've mentioned, well, they may not be able to get there. They may not be able to do that. Even for me, even if it's just a simple drill, I need to know what they're capable of doing, and that's why it's important to ask the right questions and listen. Like I was talking about earlier, that's part of being a good teacher. Is you have to know where that person is. Yeah. So you're not asking them to go do something if you know that they can't do it, to begin with.
Yeah. Yeah. Right? Similar to what we had in my case today, where luckily I wasn't tilting because of a compensation. It's just how I had kind of learned for whatever reason, where I was trying to dip and tilt towards the target there. And it had resulted in performance issues, and luckily enough, not yet any sort of pain or injury issues, right? And that was a technical issue. And when we had corrected it, it took some time for me. Like, what is it?
Took one swing.
I have to rotate around for here? How do I do this? But I was able to, I had this stability motor control. I was able to create that separation between the pelvis and the thorax there, which wasn't happening as much before, because I, luckily enough, had the capacity to do so. But if maybe it was someone else, now you got to find a new way around it, or you're going to be working on that all day, trying to get them to learn to use as much mobility as they can in that upper thoracic spine, which is it tends to be a limited spot in extension and rotation. So just important to nail that down on both ends with certain students.
And being younger, it helps.
I suppose I'm younger too,
It does help.
That does help.
For sure. I can tell you that. So just continuing to stay healthy, stay in shape, pay attention, to things like that.
Definitely.
So as you get older, it's only going to get worse. So if you focus on that at a younger age, hopefully that'll carry through as you get older in your golf career, right?
And we avoid the meniscus.
Yeah, because you're going to be sneaking up on those guys next time you go play.
That's right. Yeah, luckily enough, things straighten out. It is great to see. It's always a good feeling. Which you had mentioned earlier, it's a big part of what you enjoy about coaching is you get to see those sort of things.
Love it.
I can imagine that's quite rewarding. Now, when it comes to you yourself, around here, Nashville golf, is there one thing that you're seeing? We talked about the slice being the big thing. Is there anything else that you're seeing today, modern time, in terms of the big miss? Most people their swing issue from the clubs around here in the Nashville area, besides maybe an open club face and a big slice. Is there any big things, swing characteristics, swing mechanic that you're tend to be working on?
Well, bad as far as misses, it's still going to be to the right. I mean, the club is open. The other thing that I see a lot with people is too steep. So they're hitting, down at the ball too much. We all know that we're going to strike down a little bit, but that's why it's good having something like, a Trackman to tell you exactly where your numbers are. What degree angle are you striking down, to the ground on? So that steep attack angle along with the open face and a path that's going to the left, those are three things that are going to add up to just a lot of curve to the right.
Yeah.
So that I probably see that more than anything. It's just too steep, too up and down with the swing, no level rotation, more up and more down and open. So down, open, and across the ball.
Yeah.
Those are the top three. Now, from a good side, I see a lot that has changed with especially a lot of my younger students. They're swinging the club really fast. I mean, they're swinging really hard. They're not trying to just hit the fairway. They're trying to hit it 350 yards in the fairway.
Yeah.
So that is one thing I have noticed the last, 5-10 years is just there's a lot more speed. I have a lot more people coming in here hitting 200-yard 7-irons, whereas before, 25 years ago, a 7-iron was 150.
Sure. Yeah.
Right? So a lot of it's the equipment.
Of course.
A lot of it's the golf ball. But I think a lot of it is just the teaching, the type of player that we're seeing now.
Yeah.
More athletic, swinging hard, swinging fast. So that's a big change that I've noticed also.
Interesting. Now, do you think that is supported? Like, is that if you're going to play at local clubs around here in Nashville and you want to win a member, what is one thing that every golfer is going to need if they want to do that? Do you think speed?
You're going to have to putt well. You have to putt. You have to putt. You have to have a wedge game. But I'll take a partner. I'll take someone who's hitting it straight 250 before 300 sideways. So
gotcha.
I want to see them making a lot of putts. I mean, that's what's going to win tournaments. That's what I teach a lot of younger, junior high school players that are, doing well, and their short game is really good, like we talked about earlier today. I mean, where is your 25-yard swing? Where's your 50-yard swing? How much power do you need? How much speed do you need feel-wise, like through impact to hit at that distance? And also, where's your low point? Where's your low point distance at? Because none of this is going to work if your low point's too far behind the ball. So that's why we always talk about focusing more in front of the ball.
Yeah, good. So you can't forget about the short game. The driver gets a lot of the attention, but you're not convinced that if you don't have the short game. Yeah. And I'm sure that's true. When it comes to Nashville courses around here, have you identified a course or a hole? What are maybe the top 2 hardest holes for you in the Nashville area based on your swing and where you kind of struggle?
Oh, man, that could be any hole depending on how the body feels that day when I wake up, how the shoulders are feeling, who I'm playing with, stuff like that.
Your company.
Luckily, I get to play with either my 2 boys and my dad, so I've always have a good group that I play with. So, oh man, that's a tough. Probably number 10 at Henry Horton. Is a really tough par 4, climbing up the hill, dog leg to the left. I'm not sure if I've ever hit the green in 2 there. I mean, I'll hit a good drive and I'll have like 220, 230 left on my second shot.
I see. Yeah.
So that's one of them that kind of stands out.
And that's just the dog leg, the restraints on the drive, and then trying to hit a long approach.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And a par 3 with a lot of trouble.
Sure.
Number 10 at Nashville Golf and Athletic Club. If you got a shot, I mean, that thing's playing 200 yards. It's all carryover water with the real narrow, like green, trouble front, trouble over.
I see.
You have to hit it the exact distance So the longer par threes with like forced carry, maybe
Yeah.
undulating like greens or not very deep greens, those are tough.
see.
And there's some holes like that. There's a hole at Greystone in Dixon,
Mhm.
number 16. It's a tough par three. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
Forced carry, smaller green. You can make a double on it if you're not hitting it the exact distance that you need to hit it.
Yeah. I've been there Saturday. We'll talk about that.
Oh, that's right. You did play Greystone.
Yeah.
It's going to get better.
Okay. Yeah.
It's
I
going
think
to get
so.
better
I'm
for you.
excited to get back out there.
Yeah.
And congrats to your father on winning the championship there.
He's something else. I mean, 82 years old, just won the club championship at Greystone.
It's impressive stuff.
I mean, senior division. I want to clarify that. So,
Sure. Of course.
So we all know that. But he's a heck of a golfer, I tell you. I'm just trying to keep up with him.
Yeah. Besides keeping up with your father and watching him still be successful on the PGA or live, is there a guy that you kind of like to watch whose game that you kind of appreciate?
Lots of them.
Yeah.
Guys who have been out there for a while who have, you see that consistency throughout, like 20 years, 30 years. Adam Scott would be one.
Okay, gotcha.
And a lot of it is just because of his angles and how he swings the club. He's able to repeat it.
Efficient, yeah.
And he's one that comes to mind that's been out there for a while. Younger players, Xander Schauffele. I mean, obviously, everybody wants to watch like Scotty Scheffler, when he's winning like he's doing, although he's a little bit unorthodox.
Sure.
He's got a wedge and he has a putter, and that will win you a bunch of golf tournaments.
Yep.
They all hit it a long way.
Sure.
So they're all hitting it over 300 yards.
Yeah.
So it's all going to come down to controlling how far you hit it, and then that wedge and that putter when you get to the green.
Yeah, fair enough. I like it. And then last question for you. Growing up, did you have a guy that you turned on the TV to watch that was your guy?
Growing up, it was Tiger, but I was already grown up.
Sure.
But before, when I was younger, I would say Greg Norman,
Cool.
Seve Ballesteros,
You're losing.
Jack Nicklaus.
Sure. Yeah.
But as I got a little older, got in the business, Tiger. I mean, what Tiger did for the game.
Exactly, yeah.
I mean, he grew the game. And again, he was kind of the start of, okay, we're going to swing it hard. I mean, we're not going to try to baby it. We're going to swing it hard. And we're going to try to get the body. As you can see, his body did not
That's right.
hold up very good to that philosophy.
Yep.
So you got to be careful before you start swinging it hard.
Yep. And there's some other reasons for that, probably some premature surgeries that probably didn't have to happen in the low back, and it just set him on a cascade. And there was no coming back.
Yep.
And he's got to stop training with the Navy SEALs. That was a mistake too.
Don't want to do that.
No.
Those guys are pretty tough.
Yeah.
Pretty tough.
Very good. Well, appreciate you doing the podcast and working
you.
on my swing a little bit earlier today. It was great having you on. We'll do this again sometime, and we'll record some swings for people to see how kind of that style and how some simple fixes can go a long way.
Yeah, thanks a lot. I really enjoyed it.
Of course.
A lot of fun.